Welcome to another edition of Yarn Factory Listeners here on Kankakee Podcast. I'm Jake LaMore. This episode was recorded in front of a live audience on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, at the Venue Lounge on Schuyler Avenue in downtown Kankakee. This episode features Bill Yohnka as your host for the evening, along with 6 storytellers: Tori Cohagan, Valerie Downs, Evangeline A. Johnson, Riley Michael, Lakeisha Rivers, and Frank Kohler. The evening starts with Bill Yohnka welcoming Tori to the stage.
There was our first storyteller tonight who I didn't have any doubts about, because when I started talking to her about her story, she said, "Bill, I'm a teacher." And I knew exactly what she meant. Can we be gentle and nice, because we are welcoming someone who is cheering for the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. And she had such high hopes. And they were beaten down so bad. And I just want her to feel welcomed up here. So can we welcome to the stage in a way that will maybe even counteract the defeat of the weekend and make her feel victorious in coming on stage, Tori Cohagan. You're supposed to start walking now. She's walking up here now.
Hello. Thank you. I'm shorter than you. Yeah, we lost bad, worse than losing. We got served, so it's all right. Onward to better things. So yeah, my name is Tori Cohagan. Thanks for having me. I wanted to challenge myself to tell a story for a couple reasons. One is I'm going through a breakup, so instead of being sad, I figured I'd just be nervous for a month. But the main reason is because this is totally something my mother would do, and she'd be really great at it, better than I will do. But it is always my goal to be more like my mom. So here goes. Thanks. So I'm going to start with a brief story that she used to like to tell. My dad and his friend Larry, when they used to go to movies, I overheard this story when I was young, they would leave an empty chair between them. This was before the time of the giant lounge seats that are like an ass and a half wide. But this was the 90s. So sitting next to each other, my dad and his friend, the risk of like touching elbows was too much. My mother didn't know about this chair, and she tagged along to a movie one day and plopped her butt right down in it. My dad and Larry, "What are you doing, Linda?" "What do you mean? I'm watching the movie." "Well, you can't sit there. That's the I'm not a homo chair." I have no idea how old I was when I heard this story, but I think it's before I knew what that meant. So parents, careful. We never know what might stick. But we're not going to hold this against my parents. They've learned a lot since then. My dad does theater. He's okay. But this idea, what I will call a buffer chair, I realized as I got older, was actually prevalent a lot more places, much more than just insecure males at the movie. But almost everywhere, humans leave wide berths between different social groups, between different ages, between racial differences. There is often a buffer chair. When we buy movie tickets online now, we don't buy the tickets next to groups that have already sold because we can see them. We leave that buffered chair, even if it is a better seat, even if it's Wicked. Oh, good. Glad that got a laugh. When there's open seating at a restaurant, our group comes in and we typically find the table that's farthest away from the other filled tables. Why do we do that? Like, why will I walk all the way across the park to an empty bench when there's a lot of space on this one here, but there must a person there? Maybe this is some leftover human instinct, but we also spent over a year trying to stay 6 feet away from each other, trying not to even breathe on each other. The buffer chair was mandatory. I don't think we've healed yet. So we went through this super separate time, and maybe we all got a little weird, a little awkward. I did. I definitely lost some confidence. But coinciding with the ending of that pandemic, the Stryzics, shout out Emily, opened Knack Brewing, which is the best beer, period. So if you haven't been, we're mad at you. Getting hired there was a really, really good thing for me and has been one of the best things. I'm a homebody. I would do almost anything to do nothing, so having something to force me to get out every weekend was really, really good for me. But Knack is not your typical bar space. There are no TVs hanging on the walls, and the music's not too loud to hear your friends. The lighting is not dark, it's bright, it's inviting, and it's full of life. But it's really small. You can traverse the length in about 15 steps, the width, probably 3. And there are certainly no room for buffer chairs there. The first year Knack was open, I often helped facilitate the filling of the buffer chair. With so few seats, if groups were already seated and more would come in, I would ask them, would you guys scooch over a chair so they can sit down? And of course, people wouldn't mind doing that. People would politely scoot over. And I was able to watch this thing happen over and over again. Buffer chairs disappeared and turned into bumped elbows. And bumped elbows turned into polite introductions. Those introductions turned into discovering where people grew up, where we've been, if we had always lived in this town, or if we're just back visiting after decades of being away. Conversations flowed about the changes this town has gone. How long has Brando's been closed? What did this building used to be? What people have seen, what we remember, and what we dream about our town's future. Conversations across generations, across wildly different lifestyles. Connections are made, friendships, relationships begin. Our regulars, they don't leave buffer chairs anymore. And each week as buffer chairs are filled and beers are emptied, my heart is also filled. More recently, I sat down next to someone and quickly learned our siblings were good friends in high school. Half a beer down, and we were both commiserating our recent breakups. Theirs, unlike mine, will involve lawyers and children. Sometimes it's nice to know that people have it worse than you. Over the course of 3 years, I started feeling more confident in myself. I started meeting people I would have otherwise not known. I could see that despite our differences, there is more that connects us, that strangers can be an incredible source of comfort and support, and how quickly strangers become friends. I know this wasn't the first time I felt the love and the power of our community, but it was definitely the first time I was paying attention. The first time I realized how incredibly lucky I was to be a part of it. Community to me used to be defined by organized community events, Merchant Street Music Fest, the Farmers Market, things like this right now. But my definition is both bigger and smaller now. I've been able to see that community can exist even in the small spaces, right there between your chairs. That community exists anywhere we seek it, anywhere we make it. My mom moved back to Kansas City when she retired, about a year before Knack opened. She hasn't been there many times, but the few times she has been, she knows no stranger. She exudes inclusion. She seems to know everyone in the entire room. And while she doesn't like the beer, she knows how to fill a chair. So next time there's an opportunity, be like my mom also, and sit in that buffer chair. Thanks, guys.
Let's give Tori another big round of applause. Thank you so much for channeling your weird energy into this weird energy. That's pretty cool. I love that. our next storyteller tonight, we're going to have 3 storytellers. Then we're going to have an intermission. We can get up and get a beverage. And then we'll have 2 more storytellers. We have 1 storyteller who fell ill today. Things happen. It's okay. But our next storyteller, I was a victim of his, where he tried to pickle my liver. He was someone who he pickled his own liver for 30-some years. And now, Riley Michael, come forward. Riley Michael, 34-year-old former professional liver pickler and traveling poet. He can often be found cooking for loved ones and enemies alike. And he's going to tell a story for us tonight.
Oh, thanks, Bill. This is me. I used to be a bartender, and I'm a recovering alcoholic, so. Anyway, just a fun way to put that. So I just wanted to share a brief story tonight about the perseverance of the human spirit, just kind of peeking into a day that I had years ago. I was 22 years old. I was freshly out of the Navy. I got medically discharged for having a mental health situation. And so right getting out, this gal that I knew, that I was friends with probably hung out maybe 5-6 times at most. She hit me. I was like, "Oh, what are you up to these days?" I'm like, "Well, I really don't know." She goes, "Well, my uncle, he owns a zipline company out in Colorado on the Arkansas River. And every summer I go out there and I work for the summer. It's a great time. We camp. We drink a lot of beer, smoke pot, blah blah blah." It's like, "Oh yeah, I'll go out there with you." She's like, "Yeah, I'll get you a job right away." And so I decided to do that. With $600 in my pocket, I leave up Kankakee and go out to Colorado with this gal that I barely know. And the plan was we're going to camp a mile down the road from where we work. And it's this road. You go into Canyon City. A lot of people will know it for that there's a lot of federal prisons there. But also, the Arkansas River runs through there, and there's a lot of great whitewater rafting. And so that is a huge tourist trap where you can go whitewater rafting. And then along that road, there are like RV camps, and then there's like other tourist traps, ATV, and blah, blah, blah. So I got a job doing mindless tasks for a zipline company. So we were going to camp down the road, and then eventually with our coworkers I would make friends with, and we'll find a house and rent that, and then have a great summer, and it's going to be like an 80s movie, and, we're a bunch of shenanigans. And anyway, so within getting there and pitching our tents, and within 72 hours, she ran off with some townie and left me there in the campground, not knowing anybody at all. She drove. I didn't have a vehicle. All of my possessions in the world were in this tent in the campground in Canyon City, Colorado. But I had a job, and so things felt a little hopeless. But so I just kept going to work. I walked a mile down this highway every day. Whenever I worked, go there, start making friends. Things started looking up a little bit. All right. Oh, also, this was the summer of 2013. There was huge wildfires in that area. I forgot to mention that we were on the Royal Gorge. If you're familiar with that, that's another draw for the tourism. And so that shut down the bridge, which is a main draw of the tourism, so slowed down business. And so while those fires were burning, we were just evacuated to the town, can't go up to where I was camped out, and just immediately I was like, all of my stuff, everything was fine, but all my stuff is probably gone. This is how it ends. No one ever will ever hear what becomes of me. But I started to make friends and kept working, and I would hitchhike down into town if I needed to, and it's 22. Anyway, once I started to gain some confidence in myself and had a routine, made some friends, there was about 2-3 weeks in working, there was a day in the campsite. And let me describe this campsite to you. There's an RV camp, and then there's tent camping, and then way in the back, there was camping for $100 a month. I could pitch a tent, but there's no running water, no electrical hookups. And I could have access to the laundry and access to that, but I had to walk a while and haul water back there. And I did that for about a month and a half until I made friends and moved into someone's backyard in town. But for the time being, I was up there by myself in the high deserts. The Sangre de Cristo's mountains off in the distance were way up there. It was really something else to watch. But I remember there's this one day that it was starting to feel like I got my bearings about me. It didn't feel so chaotic as much, but I didn't have to work. It was probably like 100, 105 degrees. It was hot, sweaty, but it's dry heat. And I just want a little bit of creature comfort, finally. I'm starting to get my legs about me. Things could have gone horribly. And so I'm determined. I've reading a book, and I've near the end. I started before we'd headed out there. I'm like, finally, things are getting to a sense of normalcy. And I just wanted a little bit of shade to sit in. That's all I wanted. But the trees are all like barren. We're in the high desert. And so I had found, because we're at the outskirts, a bunch of like discarded trash. I found a ripped up tarp, and I found probably like an 8-foot 2x4. And I had a utility knife on me with a tiny little saw blade. And so I cut some notches into the 2x4, and I buried it deep down into the hard dirt as far as I could, and kind of propped it up with stones and put some paracord around there to like attach to that, and just finagled this thing for about an hour and a half, just wearing short shorts and just the sweat on my skin, and that's it, and just toiled about for about an hour and a half. And finally I had a little bit of shade to take comfort under. And I sat down and I finished the last Game of Thrones book because I felt like I had to finish it soon, because who knows when the next one's coming out. And for like a moment, and all that chaos, I felt a sense of comfort and just a stride for this creature comfort. And then later that day, one of the other guys who had been up living near to me, I kind of made friends with him, and we had like rice and beans and Spam over the fire. And then eventually I was like, "Oh, what are you doing, Hoagie?" And his name was Hoagie, of course, because he's a wandering hippie. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, we're all moving into, I'm moving into the backyard of this house in the town." And eventually I followed him and went with him and made friends. There was about 10 of us living in this house, like 6 inside, 4 out in the backyard in tents. And anyway, that was the moment when I found out that, like, even when I felt discarded in the middle of nowhere, just strangers and in the desert, I felt hope, and I felt a sense of community. And I guess what I'm trying to say, though, is even when things are very just going the worst, and there's just no way out, just look to your friends, find a friend, and just work hard, and things will work out, hopefully, and we'll get through this together. So anyway, thanks.
You just stopped clapping for Riley. Let's clap for him again. That's good. Clap for Riley again. It reminds me of when I visited my own brother in Athens, Georgia. And Athens, Georgia is one of those towns. You've probably been to those towns where they have a stop sign and they have little flags attached to the stop sign that you grab the flag. When you cross the street, you wave the flag over your head. And it's something to be seen, right? It's something to be noticed. And sometimes it feels good, doesn't it? So we're going to notice somebody new right now. Well, not new to us, because we've had her here before. Well, not here, but we've had her at this event before. And I was so inspired by her. Just by the way, you know what? You just keep telling your story. Lakeisha Rivers is also known as Miss Keys, which I wish I had a cool nickname. I don't. But Miss Keys has a really cool nickname. And Miss Keys should start walking toward the stage right now. It's her second time, right? This is two. One of our repeat storytellers, and I'm so happy that she's here. Let's give a warm welcome to Miss Keys.
Good evening. My name is Ms. Keys. I open doors through storytelling, for storytelling, and keeping the story alive. So it's funny, I wrote this story at an open book that I co-host with Moran that we do on the 4th Tuesday of the month. But he challenged me to write a bit more to the story that I'm gonna read tonight. I wonder. I wonder what happens the day and time, the time. Time you think you have time. It could change in a blink of an eye. I will depart very soon. We never know the time and date. You will depart, she will depart, he will depart. Yes, this life, simple. Plans to do so much. Is it that simple? I wonder. I had time to enjoy smelling the flowers all shaped with different colors and angles. I always wanted flowers, because flowers are my favorite thing. And my favorite is sunflowers, the ones I'm wearing on my hand. I love flowers all my life. So funny. I remember when Dad was growing them in the front yard and the backyard. I'm sorry, y'all, yesterday was his birthday. He would have been 82. So, okay, I got this. Looked like a coloring book with so many types of flowers. And the smell was like fresh perfume. I seen my family and friends have them all over in their house in pretty vases all the time. They light up the room, and some of them have this so delightful scent, fresh and serenity. I wondered. I lived a great story. What do you remember about me? Let's share the good times. I hope I did my part. I hope. I tried my best. I wonder. Well, I remember being a little girl and I couldn't wait to grow up. And I remember the jingle, if you never want to grow up, I just want to be a Toys R Us kid. That was my favorite jingle, for real. I loved reading, writing, watching cartoons, and just eating a bowl of cereal. I wanted to be great, a great person. I had so many dreams of being remembered. Like a writer who tells stories or teach or help. Many, many choices to pick from. I wonder. Here comes the caretaker. They ask for my name or ID. I can't answer them or move. They located my information, my name, address, weight, height, donor, and birthday. Damn, I just received a date with a death on it now. Come on. So they examined me, and I lay there with my eyes open, cold as ice. No heartbeat. The EMT starts doing CPR, pressing on my chest. 2 breaths, and again pressing on my chest. Over and over, the EMT says, deceased at this time. I'm gone. It's dark and lonely. The EMT opens the back door, the wheels squeaking. Up we go. They put me in the hearse, taking me away. They have my corpse. Now I'm riding down the street with a complete stranger, waiting in a cold room with other guests. What was his or her story? I don't know. It is so quiet in here. No one to talk to. I guess I'll just be still because, let me get some rest. Good night. Tomorrow will be a very busy day. I wonder, how will they get the angle and arrange the guest book and the list at my casket? Please sign the book and thank you for being a friend. Take your seat and grab a tissue. Too many might block the view, but can't go past the red rope. I'm on display, a beautiful corpse. Nothing inside but memories. Lay with you as they prepare me, all dressed up like a new doll. Eyes closed, glued down, makeup flawless, dress pressed, smooth nail polish, painted with the right hue so the light can shine on my face as I lay in the casket while I'm asleep. Do not disturb. I wonder. Lights, camera, action. I am a beautiful corpse waiting silently on my premiere. I hear the music playing, the organ playing, and it's loud. Old photos on the screen, people chatting, many conversations. Like, I remember. Yeah, I remember when she did this, and I remember when she did that. And here comes the preacher. Greets the family as they walk in, and then walking down the aisle with tears in their eyes. With sad tears in their falling down their cheeks. And then you see the solo artist stands upon them, singing Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet thy sound that saved a wretch like me. I wonder, it is start for me. Here we go. Everyone is praying and reading the program. It happened on this date, and she was born on this one, and I had a beautiful day and time. I wonder. I was just out smelling the flowers, enjoying life. I woke up to shower, got dressed to get ready for work, kissed my dog. I tried to avoid the fog. I drank the Folgers in my cup. My favorite coffee, for real. And I called my daughter to see how everything was doing in college, and everything went dark. My heart stopped. Complete silence. I wonder. The ambulance lights, police, and paramedic arrives, telling people to stay back. You hear all the screams and the people pointing and the cameras rolling, and they're watching the whole thing. I wonder. The angle was different because I collapsed and I died. I was laying down. I was life to lifeless. I guess my lifestyle was simply beautiful. Just a corpse about to be put in a casket for a few days and then tucked away in the hole, no matter where I was laying. There was no heartbeat, no blood, no movement, just a shell getting dirty. I wonder. Beautiful corpse. Thank you, guys.
Right now, I said we had 5 storytellers tonight. In reality, we have 6 storytellers tonight because I had one storyteller I was working on, and she saw that there were only 5 tonight. And she said, Bill, my story is ready. And I don't know how many of you have had your ass saved. Is that kind of a thing where you have your ass saved? Like, it's kind of a thing where it's not always a dispute. And back at the bar, I'd like you to be quiet. Back at the bar, you can talk while I'm talking, but not when our next storyteller comes up. You've had your ass saved. Sometimes it's by a friend who jumps over the fence, then saves you when you're about to get beat up in the schoolyard. Sometimes it's a song that comes on the radio at the perfect time, right? Have you ever thought about that saving your ass? Like the same way about someone saving you from getting beat up? Your ass got saved by a song. And tonight, I want to invite Valerie Downs up to the stage to save our ass with a story.
For winging it, and I am. That was quite an entrance, so thank you very much. I appreciate the uplifting welcome. It's really strange to get used to your voice on this. It's wild. But I want to start out with something I read recently that kind of brought this story to my mind. It's a community that I love and that has saved me multiple times. So bear with me. I was sharing bathrooms with trans women 25 years ago. You could not go to a club in Chicago in the 90s without seeing a trans woman and drag queens in our ladies' room, in the ladies' room. You know what happened? Those horrible, scary, dangerous people fixed my eyeliner, complimented my clothes, gave me makeup tips, and helped me when I was drunk and praying to the porcelain god. Got me into my cab safely, laughed with me, danced with me, and made me feel safe among the predators. Cis men. Now, there's cis men that we love. Listen, you're not all predators, and I know this. I was asked once, I was talking about trauma, and someone said, does it really happen that much? It does. I'd say out of my friends, 3 out of 4 have had something inappropriate happen. That's a fact. That's reality. Not one of them was a drag queen. I moved to Chicago when I was 17. I'm 53. I just moved back to Kankakee to live in a rural area. I love Chicago. Chicago is my city. But I'm growing older and I need some quiet. I started at 17 and went to the clubs. I was dancing, 6-inch heels, the whole 9 yards. I was groped, grabbed. They weren't drag queens. When I was about 26, 27, the man I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, as we sometimes luck out, pulled the rug out from underneath my plans, and I had to reinvent the person you see in front of you. It ruined me. But it was also the best thing that ever happened. I became a part of a community that loved me, thought I was the most beautiful girl in the group. I could talk about boys. I started going to the gay bars with my friends in the community that I loved for a long time. And I danced, and I laughed, and I drank. And not once was I groped or grabbed. Not once. And people said, well, the time my best friend was Colin. I'm like, well, you're in love with Colin. I'm like, no, he don't like me. Trust me, girl. I'm very aware of Colin. I loved how I could come out of my closet because I knew how hard it was for them to come out of theirs. And we just cherished each other. Still do. Most of my best friends are gay. Truth. I trust them with anything. I would kill for them. I will. So to my story. That's not it. So one night, Sidetracks, if any of you are familiar with Lakeview, Chicago, is my neighborhood, yes, for 30 years, 20 years. Sidetracks on Halsted. Every night they have a theme, show tunes, comedy. Sometimes it's just good videos. Amazing place. Spent many a night there. And this one night, my friends wanted to stay. It's no big deal. You go out, you get a cab. It's Chicago. I don't have to worry about. And it was drag night. I don't know what I'm talking about. I do know what night it was. And I'm outside by myself. It's probably 2 a.m. Let's be honest. It's probably 3 a.m. Why? Might as well throw it out there now. And I'm standing there and waiting to flag down a cab. It's what you do in the city. You don't think twice about it. And on the side, if you know Sidetracks, there's the entrance, and then there's kind of this side wall. There's a big 6-foot drag queen, smoking. Just taking a break. And this man comes up to me and tries to take my cab. And I say something, waiting for that, I can be pretty tough. But when it's 3 a.m. and you see a drunk man come at you, you tend to be a little more timid. And he got in my face. He prepared to punch me, and this drag queen stepped forward and said, "You better back the up." With the cigarette in her hand, you better back. This woman did not hesitate, did not ask me who I was. She saved my ass. That's a drag queen, okay? That's it. That's it.
Let's give Valerie a big round of applause. Hey, we have somebody who we were welcoming someone to the stage earlier we're being very kind with because they were a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And that was very nice of us. We have somebody now who's originally from Philadelphia. You hear the one person clapping in the room. That's Frank Kaler, the one person in the room from Philadelphia. But what's cool about Frank, there's a number of things, but one of the things that's cool about Frank is that he has shown me that when you retire, your life can become more interesting. And he has gotten into so many interesting things. If you see the Rotary puzzles that they make, Frank is the one selling those. If you hear about the Potawatomi paddlers, Frank is the one selling those, the one selling that whole idea. If you see someone at a Chicago White Sox game, that's Frank. He's the one, the absolute one person there. And we'd like to welcome to the stage Frank Kaler.
First of all, let's hear it for the other storytellers. I mean, they're all tough acts to follow. It's had a couple stories of mine. I wasn't sure which one to go. One's called 9 Years. It's a story about a 6-year-old and his family as they travel from Pittsburgh to Kansas to Wisconsin, back to Pennsylvania, back to Kansas. and the experiences and people they meet along the way. And this takes place in the 1850s, but we'll save that for another day, because it may take about 9 years to tell. The story I have tonight, it's called The Rabbit Hole. And it has no ending, because as you get into a rabbit hole, you just keep finding it going deeper and deeper and deeper. So I think a lot of you may know the history of Bourbonnais, settled by French Canadians, Noel Levasseur, Francois Bourbonnais. They came down from Quebec in the 1830s. And a number of years ago, Paul Shore, a friend of mine, the mayor of Bourbonnais, said, hey, we're interested in looking into some sister cities. Can you help us out? And they weren't sure where to begin. Now, Rotary, and Bill mentioned Rotary, 1.4 million members, I'll give a little plug, and 35,000 chapters. And he said, maybe you can work something with Rotary. And he identified two towns, one Montagne-Perche in Normandy, and the other Boucherville outside Montreal. And so the town in Montagne-Perche in Normandy did, in fact, have a Rotary Club. We reached out to them. And they said, yeah, we'd be interested in getting together with you. Why don't you come on over? So about 2 years ago, wife and I, we went over there and spent 3 great days in Montagne-Perche. And neat little town, about 4,000 people. It's about an hour from the beaches of D-Day. A lot of history there and what have you. And so we had a great time. The city, however, wasn't so much interested in doing Sister City, a town of about 4,000. Now, who's this guy coming from the United States? I don't know anything about him. So we met with the mayor for about 10 minutes, and that was that. But we've developed a close relationship with the Rotary Club, and we're continuing to pursue that. But they were celebrating, if you go to the city park, this guy by the name of Pierre Boucher, who had been born in Montagne-Perche, went to New France in the 1670s and created this new town, Boucherville. And a lot of the people in Bourbonnais can trace their lineage. If you ever go to the Stone Barn Museum here in town, Tétreault, Rivard, Gagnon, Boucher, a lot of those French names go through Boucherville back to Montagne-Perche. So we looked into Boucherville. They did not, unfortunately, have a Rotary Club. So we had to reach out. So I reached out to City Hall, reached out to the library, reached out to the Historical Society. They said, yeah, come on up. We're glad to get together with you. So we put together a team, my wife and I. We took Father Jason from Eternity, Samantha Rochnowski here from the city, Victoria Featherstone from the museum, Mike Van Mill from the village, and went up and met with them. And we had a great time and made some, I think, some good contacts. And they said, yeah, we'd be very interested in working with you on a long-term relationship. And you go through that town, they have statues of Pierre Boucher all around. So there is that strong connection. And go back to Montagne-Perche, there's a picture in their city park of this church in Boucherville that if you look at it straight on, you swear it was the front of Maternity BVM Church. Many say that town in Boucherville served as the inspiration for Maternity. So there's a really strong connection between the two. So we're continuing to pursue that. Now, in the meantime, the village is having its 150th birthday this year. A lot of events being planned. There's a gala coming up May 17th, then the Friendship Festival in June. There's going to be a big name concert. I can't say who that performer is going to be in July, but they say, hey, Frank, can you put together a French Heritage Weekend? Sure, why not? So I have an evening plan with Marquette and Joliet. I got a French dance troupe coming out from Detroit, comprised of French Canadians, and there's other activities going on that day. And they said, hey, can we do a Voyager reenactment and bring back Theotiki? Many of you may remember Theotiki was done. So we're planning that for that weekend. Now, when you reach out to these reenactors, you can't go to an agency and say, yeah, I can get you 30, I can get you 40. No, you have to reach each reenactor one at a time. And right now I have 2. My goal is to get about 100. So now I find myself going to a living history reenactment up in Kalamazoo in a couple months. There's a reenactment coming up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the end of this month. There's an event in Lake County, Indiana at the end of May, and trying to invite all these reenactors coming in. So I'm planning all that. And then I had French in high school and I had French in college, but when we went to Montana Perche, the people in France are just so great, and a great time, and they're all bilingual, and so it was easy to get around. When we went up to Montreal and Quebec, and we visited this other church about an hour north of Quebec City, St. Ignatius, which also many say served, and Jack Clancy from the Journal seemed to suggest that served as the inspiration also for maternity, because it has the wraparound balcony up there. So we set up a meeting with them, and I was supposed to have a French interpreter come with us, and at the last minute, he canceled. So there's the three of us up there in Cap St. Ignace. None of us speak French. And the three people we're meeting up there, none of them speak English. And we're just kind of looking at each other. So fortunately, my wife was with me. She takes out her phone and Google Translate, and Father Jason takes out and Google Translate. And we had a great time with it. It's just a beautiful church. And I said, I really should learn French. So now I've signed up for French lessons, twice a week. And it's just this great big rabbit hole. And now I find there's a thing called the French Heritage Society that meets every year. And last year they met in Detroit. This year they're meeting in St. Louis. So hence the Quebec, added to my wardrobe. And so I don't know where this story is going to end. It's a rabbit hole that you keep going down. So all I can say is buy your rotary puzzles, come out to the birthday celebration, take a look at the French barn. There's some great stuff there, and Veronica Featherstone does a great job with the museum. I'll give her a plug. And come on out to our French Heritage Week, and it'll be the last weekend in September. And hopefully that's the end of my involvement, but we'll see.
Thank you, Frank. Let's give Frank another big round of applause. The last White Sox fan, and basking in the glory of a Super Bowl victory and learning French. All the same guy, Frank Kaler. And if you want to go on a trip down the Kankakee River, he will guide you as one of the Potawatomi paddlers. We have one more story to tell, and I've learned in doing this, I've had a couple of times when I've had Van Johnson tell stories, that no one should follow Van Johnson. She's got a style all her own, and a personality, and a presence, and a connection with people, and I want you to experience tonight. Van Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. The story I'm going to tell tonight is I'm my sister's keeper. And this sister is the youngest sister because it's 3 girls and 1 boy. And the sister I'm talking about, me and her are the only survivors left in the family, the only living ones left in our family. And there's an 8 years difference in our age. So you can imagine, I always thought I was the little mama, that took her to park, playgrounds and everything. So no, she didn't have to talk to our mother because I'm always in there to step up to do things. However, I'm not going to talk about the younger age. There are some stories. I want to start talking about her teenage years because I was out of college by then, but I was still living at home. And it was funny because me and my sister, who's only 13 months apart, and her name is Blondie, the youngest one I'm talking about today is named Shorty, but I'm the smallest one and the littlest one in the family, but I'm the most baddest, tough-ass person in the family, or a badass person in the family. But in talking about her, it was funny. She got some mail one day in the house, and it was from Planned Parenthood, And I'm wondering, what the hell, at 16, she getting a letter from Planned Parenthood. So, I'm not tripping because I'm thinking at 16, I wasn't doing nothing. So I'm thinking maybe she's not doing anything. However, I did know one of her friends, like 2 years earlier when I came home from college, my mother asked me to take her and her girlfriend, take her to her 9th grade, what do you call it? When you go to high school, you got to get that 9th grade medical exam and stuff like that. So I was taking her and the girl down the street, Bernie, to go get their 9th grade physical. Okay, 9th grade physical. While at the physical, this is before the story I'm going to tell, go in there, I had to come into the doctor's office or the patient's room where Bernie could find out she's pregnant. So I said, okay, Bernie, we're going back home. I give you 24 hours to tell your mom. If you don't tell her, I'm telling her. But to get back to this story about the parent, so I'm thinking this Planned Parenthood, not that I thought my sister was doing anything, but I was wondering, why we getting this doggone letter? I'm being a nice sister. At that time, I didn't open it up. I just gave it to her, and I just asked her, what was this letter about? Oh, I was going with Bernie. She got to take birth control pills now since she already had the baby, and the baby about 1.5 years or so like that. I said, okay, I bought into it. But the next one, another damn letter come in the mail from Planned Parenthood. So I'm telling Blondie, this is the second letter. She said, hell, we going to steam it open and see what's in it. So that's what we did. We steamed the letter, opened it, and it was talking about some dates, and I can't remember totally. It was talking about some dates and talking about some pills. I said, damn, the girl is on birth control. She got better sense than we were at her age. So now we wonder, where the hell is the birth control? So we go in her room. Remember, I'm my sister's keeper, me and my sister, even brother too. So we going into the room, and her closet has, in her closet, it's a slanted closet down because the upstairs run upstairs, so it's a deep closet. And she a junky girl. And she got a bookshelf in there too and everything. We tore up the doggone closet. Well, we didn't have to really tear it up because it's already torn up. But we tearing up the closet trying to figure out, because we looked everywhere else, didn't find no pills, no remnants of pills, anything else. We tore up the closet to find these damn pills, which we did find. And I'm saying, I can't believe it, because we got to see it to believe it. Just thinking about it is not saying it's actually true. But we did find the pills, and we sitting up there just flabbergasted at the point, I'm trying to use better words than we're just stunned, because here she is at 16 on birth control pills. So I'm saying, well, what the hell is she doing, or where's she doing all this stuff at? But during the course of time, we looking at it, even after then. So we not saying anything, because we our sister keeper. We ain't going to tell my mom what she into, because we just going to have these sister talks, which we did. But, I'm not saying she wasn't playing crazy, but she wasn't being straightforward. But we couldn't tell her we into her business, which I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But she had a boyfriend, and she was so silly at 16, outside in the vestibule, right there by the light, she would leave these little notes for him. And I'm saying it's funny, because my brother read the note, I read the note, my sister read the note. But she thought, I'm saving it for whenever he comes in, he could read the note and just take it with him. But we didn't tell her for a long time. We read all the damn notes. Because at first I thought it was just me and my sister, till my brother saw one that was interested and knocked on the door. Ben, you know what the hell was going on? I said, what? She said, just no. I said, damn, I didn't know you was reading the notes. I thought it was just me and my sister. But anyway, he was reading the notes and stuff, but we just keep them between us. Why? Because you keep your mother out your business. So anyway, it got to the point, well, okay, we knew she was on birth control pills. We let that slide. Then it was some other reason we was in her room snooping around or something and found she had a diary. I said, oh, not an ordinary diary. I think she got it from me, because I used to keep one like a regular notebook, and you put the paper in there, because you got a lot of stuff to say. That's why I'm writing stories now. I got a lot of stuff to say. So now I'm thinking it's just me now, because I wasn't even going to tell my sister Blondie about the diary. You know, I'm just reading the diary, all the little interesting things she's doing, or trying to do. Oh, my sister was good, because she was a very good artist. She made her own bus pass, CTA bus pass. So in school, all she did is flash it. She did not have to pay bus fare, because she was good. She was very talented. Y'all think I'm playing? She was talented. She had a 4-year scholarship to ITT. She didn't go. Why? She got married the day after graduation. Just broke my heart, but that's another story. But getting back to the diary, she had this diary, and I didn't say she wrote it in every day, but every day she had a paper in it. She put a date on it and stuff like that. So we had a good time for a nice long time reading the diary. I got to the point where I told my sister Blondie, so she would read the diary too, because we knew where she hid it, in this junky ass closet of hers. So when we saw her writing in it, we just said, "Oh, we can look at it down the road." I mean, we didn't have to rush, because we young adults, but we don't have to rush to see what a little 16, 17-year-old doing, because like I said, it's a big difference in our age. But we could always go back when we got the time, or we bored and need some little, nothing good on TV and stuff like that. Go ahead and read her diary, which we did. So me and my sister would talk about it, and either I tell her some new entries, or she tell me some new entries, and we just would read it. However, one day I came home from work or something, and I saw my mother sitting on her bed. And I'm wondering, what the hell you doing? And I didn't say that out loud, that. But I'm just saying, what the hell she doing in Shorty's room? And when I saw it was the diary, because she didn't think she had to hide, because she didn't think I knew it was the diary. But we've been reading it for I don't know how long now. So I go in there, I said, "Mom, what you doing reading Shorty diary?" "What is it to you?" I said, "You ain't got no business reading Shorty diary." And she didn't say nothing. I said, "I'm going to tell you, you better not tell her nothing." So naturally, when Shorty got home, because that was another thing. She was a typical girl. She came home, but she didn't come home right after school, because she was always in some school program and stuff. But they didn't have, like they have in Kankakee, school buses drop you off. She had a little bus card, and she'd get on the bus and come on home. She went to a Dunbar vocational high school then. So she got home, and I said, "Shorty." She said, "What?" I said, "Your mama in there reading your diary." My mother got so mad. I can't tell you how mad. On the front door that leads out to the vestibule, the door is half wood, half glass. A great big pane of glass. It's that real thick double glass, so you can't see through it. It's like what they put in the bathrooms now when you can't see through there. She got so mad, she got up and stormed out and slammed that thing and started rattling. The glass part started rattling. I said, "Oh, wow, she really mad at us." But we cracking up laughing, but she mad as hell. The point of the story is, I'm my sister's keeper, but keep your mama out of your business.
Well done. Let's give Van a big round of applause. Thank you, Van. Let's make sure that all of our storytellers come back up here for a picture before the night is through. So everyone that told a story tonight, come back up here. And if you think you're a person who may want to tell a story someday, there's a notebook right there. It's my notebook I use for all sorts of things. But you can write on the page that's open. It says story, you, ? Write your name, the way to get in touch with you. So we'll have you tell a story next time, because that's how this keeps growing. What's been really cool about this, as being 1 year into it, is that I've been really proud of things I've done in my life. And it's really cool to have something that other people are doing with me. And it really is a remarkable thing that we found. I feel like the first night of storytelling, we found great people to tell stories. And then those people spurred on other people to tell stories. And now we have an entire packed room full of people just waiting to hear what people are going to say. And I love that kind of community we've built here. So thank you so much for helping me do that and being part of something pretty cool in Kankakee. And, we saw this happen like in Chicago, and we do it better here. So thank you so much. We'll keep you posted on, thank you to Earl and Glenda for hosting us tonight. This is a beautiful venue. And we're so proud to be here right in downtown Kankakee.
That concludes this episode of Yarn Factory Listeners on Kankakee Podcast. Special thanks to our audio engineer for the evening, Drew Razor, and Hannah Davis-Kurtz for taking photos, Bill Yohnka for hosting, the Venue Lounge for hosting us, and, of course, to all the storytellers. Yarn Factory Listeners happens the second Tuesday of every month in downtown Kankakee. For location information and time, you can follow Yarn Factory Listeners Kankakee Storytelling on Facebook. I'm Jake LaMore. Thank you so much for listening and supporting Kankakee Podcast.
This